So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in and around 20 minutes in a short span of time. The idea behind this lecture series is very simple. You see, current affairs form a very important portion of your civil services examination. In fact, around 40 to 50% of your exam, whether it's prelims or mains, is directly or indirectly related to current affairs. Therefore, reading current affairs, covering current affairs should be a daily habit of yours. You should cover them on a daily basis. But the problem is that you cannot spend your entire day reading the newspaper or covering current affairs. Therefore, to facilitate you, every day we shortlist important news items from that day's newspapers. Okay, shortlist them on the basis of their probability of featuring in our examination. We do not shortlist unimportant news. We only shortlist important news. You need to focus on important news only. Okay, if you are civil services aspirants. And we try to cover those important shortlisted news items in and around 20 minutes through this lecture series. Okay, so all you have to do is watch this lecture for 20 to 25 minutes and then spend another 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture. You can revise this lecture from our PDF file, which will be shared on our Telegram channel. Now, the link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below. All you have to do is click on that link. It will take you to our Telegram channel. And from there, you can download our PDF file. Okay, so 20 to 25 minutes watching this lecture and 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture, and in around 40 to 50 minutes you're done for the day. Now you can spend your entire day reading other parts of your UPSC syllabus or state civil services examination syllabus. Okay, so we free up your day so that you can cover other parts of your syllabus. So make this lecture series a daily habit of yours. Make it a part of your daily routine. All right, let's begin this lecture. But first, let's talk about the topics we shall cover in this particular lecture. What important news items were shortlisted from today's newspapers. Okay, so today's topics. Number one is India's bid for 2036 Olympics. India actually wants to host the 2036 Olympics, and it has presented its bid to the International Olympics Committee. So what is this all about? What is International Olympics Committee? We'll talk about this. Then recently, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation changed the release timing for Consumer Price Index and Index of Industrial Production. Earlier, they used to release these two data points, these two indices, every month, 12th of every month at around 5:30 p.m. Okay, but now they have changed the timings to 12th of every month, 4 p.m. Now, why is this change in timing significant? What impact would it have? We'll talk about this. Okay. Then recently, Supreme Court released its judgment on Aligarh Muslim University's minority status. Remember, Aligarh Muslim University's minority status was put into question, whether it's a minority institution or whether it's not a minority institution. Okay, so we'll talk about this Supreme Court judgment, and we'll also talk about what does it mean to be a minority institution. Okay, and in the end, we'll talk about the project released by government to monitor animal health. Okay, Union Minister for Animal Husbandry actually launched a project which would monitor animal health. Now, why monitoring animal health is significant and what is this project all about? We'll talk about this news item. All right? Okay. So without further ado, let's begin the discussion, starting with topic number one, which is India's bid for 2036 Olympics. So India actually wants to host 2036 Olympics. In fact, India says that it is the only major country in the world that has never hosted Olympics. So it wants to do that in 2036. In fact, Indian Olympic Association wrote to International Olympics Committee declaring its intent to host Olympics and Paralympics game in India, Bharat. Okay. Now, it is not India who is the only country who's bidding for 2036 Olympics. India actually is in competition with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. But India's Olympic pitch is that we have religious diversity, so we are a diverse nation. We are sending a message of peace to the world at a time when it is needed the most. Vasudev Kutumbakam. We are a country that has good foundational values. Plus, India's strategic position and its historical strategic position, because India was around the ancient Silk Route and Spice Route, and India's strategic position allows it to cover the entire world. The entire world's attention would be on India. Okay, so these are the points that India is focusing on while making its pitch for hosting 2036 Olympics. Now, what is important for you to know is that how are the hosts of these Olympic events selected? Okay, so the host of Olympic Games, these people or these countries are selected by International Olympics Committee. Okay, and how are they selected? Well, it is the members of International Olympics Committee. When they meet at their special sessions, they choose their hosts. Okay, they choose the host for a particular Olympic Games. So members, by voting through a secret ballot, choose the host. Okay, now that vote is casted by a secret ballot, so no one knows who voted for who. Plus, the country which receives majority votes wins. Now each active member has one vote. All right, now not all members are allowed to vote in this. Okay, honorary members, suspended members are not allowed to vote, and members who are citizens of the country for whom the vote is being done is also not allowed to vote. So for example, if I'm from India and I'm a member of International Olympics Committee, and voting is being taken place to decide whether India should host, then I would not be allowed to vote in that session. All right, so this is how we select members. Now, another thing that you need to know is, what is this International Olympics Committee, and how are the members for this Olympics Committee who decide the fate of a host country, who decide which host country would host Olympics? How are the members selected? Okay, so International Olympic Committee is a non-governmental international organization, and it was established in 1894. Its aim is to ensure regular holding of Olympic Games and to promote the philosophy of Olympism and the Olympic movement. Now, what is the philosophy of Olympism? It says that we need to endeavor towards creating harmony for mind, body, and soul. And this can be achieved through sports. Sports is a very nice medium to achieve harmony between mind, body, and soul. So it promotes the philosophy of Olympism and Olympic movement also. So what was Olympic movement all about? It said that world peace and world harmony can be maintained through sports. Countries competing through sports in a good spirit can promote harmony and can also, in a sense, can also reduce conflict. Okay, so this is there. Now, this committee decides rules and regulations for Olympic Games. What are the rules, where it would be held, and this all of these decisions are taken by IOC's members. Now, there are certain qualifications to become a member of IOC. Okay, first of all, the member must have good knowledge of French or English. This is mandatory, and he must be a citizen or reside in a country that has a national Olympics committee. So for example, India has Indian Olympic Association, right? So if a person is citizen of India and knows English or French, then he is qualified to be a member. Okay, now originally members were elected for life. Okay, but now after 1965 they are elected till they achieve the age of 75. Generally this is not the case always, but generally each country has one member. Okay, now to govern everything about IOC, there is this Olympic Charter also, which contains rules, regulations, laws, which bound the functioning of International Olympics Committee. All right, make sense? Okay, that's about it. Now let's move forward to second news item, which is release timing change for CPI and IIP. Now CPI stands for Consumer Price Index. Okay, and IIP stands for Index of Industrial Production. Okay, now, CPI, Consumer Price Index, actually measures retail inflation that is felt by consumers. There is another inflation called wholesale inflation, which is inflation felt by producers. But retail inflation, retail inflation is measured by CPI, and IIP, Index of Industrial Production, measures industrial performance. Okay. Now, see, July 2013, before July 2013, these two data points, okay, these two, CPI and IIP, were released at around 11 to 11:30 a.m. in the morning on 12th of every month. Okay, so every month CPI IIP data would be released, and would be released around 11 to 11:30 a.m. But the problem with that was that at that time, 11:30, stock market and financial markets are are in their session. Okay, people are trading, and the data released by CPI, or the data released, or data of CPI and IIP released, actually influences the market. It actually influences the trading of various stocks or government securities. Okay, so to prevent the influencing of markets, okay, so that markets are not affected by inflation data or industrial performance data, the government said that we will release this CPI and IIP 12th of every month. We would release that at 5:30 p.m. so that that day's trading session is not impacted in between. Okay, so government decided that it would release from July 2013 onwards at 5:30 p.m. on 12th of every month. Okay, the reason that the government chose 5:30 p.m. is that, you see, stock markets end their trading session at around 3:30 p.m. But government chose 5:30. Why? Because stock market ends at 3:30 p.m. But government bond market or futures market end at 5 p.m. Okay, so government thought that we will release the data after the end of every financial market session. Okay, whether it's government's bond market or stock market. That's why government decided 5:30 p.m. Okay, but now the government has decided to change this time to 4 p.m. Okay, so from July 2013 onwards, it was 5:30 p.m. But now, recently, government has decided that from November onwards, November 2024 onwards, it would be 2000. I'm sorry, 4 p.m. Okay. Now, what was the justification given by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which releases these figures? Okay, remember this part. CPI and IIP are released by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, what was the justification given by this ministry? It said that when we release CPI and IIP data at around 5:30 p.m., then it is too late in one day. Okay, it is too late for the day, because most of the offices, most of the analysts, most of these government offices which analyze the data for economic policy, okay, based on CPI and IIP, they close down. Okay, it is too late in the day to make any decisions. So government said that government thought that we should allow the data to be released earlier, so that people have more time in that day, okay, to analyze that data, because this data is important for what? Economic policy making, financial decisions making, or financial decisions. So to give people more time in that day, okay, government decided to, in a way, advance this timing to 4 p.m. This is what the justification is given by the government. Plus the government is also saying that stock market ends at 3:30 p.m. So it would also not, the release of this data would also not influence stock market. Okay, but analysts say that it would influence government bond market or futures market, but government is not concerned about that. Government says that it does not want to influence stock market, because stock market trading session ends at 3:30 p.m. So 4 p.m. is a safe time. Okay, this is what was the background. So before 2013, the timing was 11 to 11:30, but that used to influence the trading sessions. Plus, sometimes data leaks also used to happen. The data was leaked beforehand, which again influenced trading sessions. So that is why government decided 5 p.m. 5 p.m. or 5:30. Sorry, 5:30 p.m. But now government has decided to advance it to 4:30 p.m. Now, is 4 p.m. justified? Well, the government says that it is justified, because government says that inflation data, industrial performance data is crucial for economic policy making and financial market decisions. Okay, it is crucial. Now, we want government offices or economic planners or economic planning offices to have more time to analyze this data. But by the time it's 5:30, most of these offices close and they have to wait till tomorrow to analyze this data. That is why we have advanced it. Okay. Plus, the ministry says that it won't influence the stock market session, because stock market ends at 3:30 p.m. But analysts say that it would definitely influence government bond market, forex market where you trade, buy and sell dollars, futures market, okay, because they remain open till 5 p.m. All right. So this is the debate all about. By the way, we measure retail inflation through CPI, but I've told you that this is the inflation felt by consumers. To measure inflation felt by producers, we measure wholesale inflation, or WPI, wholesale price index. Okay. Now, wholesale price index is released 14th of every month at around noon. Okay, 12 p.m. Earlier, Before December 2013, it was it was released on a weekly basis, but now it is released on a monthly basis and 14th of every month. So remember this fact also. Questions or MCQs can be asked related to this information. Okay, so that's about it. All right. Now let's move on to topic number 3, which is Aligarh Muslim University's minority status. Okay, so November 8th was the day when Supreme Court actually released its decision on whether Aligarh Muslim University can claim a minority status under Article 30 of the Constitution or not. Actually, the judgment by the Supreme Court was given in February. Okay, but the Supreme Court actually reserved that verdict and thought or decided to release it on November 8th. Okay, so the matter was decided in February, but the judgment was reserved till November, and now it has been released. Okay, now the Supreme Court was listening to this case, and the Supreme Court had set up a 7-judge bench. Okay, in fact, 7-judge constitutional bench. What is a constitutional bench? A bench of Supreme Court that decides on constitutional cases. Okay, since AMU's minority status is dependent on Article 30 of the Constitution. That is why a constitutional bench was set up to decide on this case. And it was a 7-judge bench. And the decision to allow Aligarh Muslim University to claim minority status was delivered by 4-3 majority. So 4 judges were in favor of that, 3 judges were against that. Okay. Now remember, Supreme Court has said that Aligarh Muslim University can claim minority status. The decision whether AMU is a minority institution or not will be taken later. But right now, Supreme Court has said that AMU is not disqualified. Okay, it is not disqualified, but the appropriate authority will decide whether it has the status or not. Okay, but it is not disqualified to have the status. Okay, now let's talk about minority status as provided by our constitutions, as provided by our constitution. Okay, so what is this minority status given to educational institutions? Okay, so Article 30 Clause 1 of our Constitution says that all minorities, whether they are religious minorities or linguistic minorities, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice, and they shall also have the right to run these institutions as they deem fit. Okay, government would not interfere. But the Constitution has said that government can interfere or give reasonable restrictions or apply reasonable regulations, rules on them to promote educational standards, welfare, and preventing maladministration. Okay, so government can provide rules for these minority institutions so far as to promote educational standards, welfare, and prevent maladministration. Apart from this, these minority institutions are free to do whatever they want. Okay, in fact, you see, Article 15 of our Constitution actually provides for reservation of SCs and STs in educational institutions, right? Whether they are private or government. But minority institutions are exempt from this. So minority institutions can choose not to provide reservation to SCs and STs since they are free to do so. All right. So that is the privilege that minority institutions have. The idea behind this is that government wants that minority institutions are free to promote education in their minority community. Okay, so they should be free from government rules and regulations. Now, why was Aligarh Muslim University stuck in this case? Well, basically, this case has been going on almost forever. Okay, in 1967, the Supreme Court was actually listening to a case in which the government actually made amendments to an act called AMU Act, Aligarh Muslim University Act. Basically, Aligarh Muslim University is formed under an act of parliament. Okay, so some amendments were made. The people from Aligarh Muslim University protested those amendments and they took the case to Supreme Court. Okay, now the Supreme Court said that since Aligarh Muslim University came into existence through an act of parliament, okay, it is neither established nor administered by Muslim minority. The university is neither established through Muslims or administered, since the Executive Council has non-Muslim members also. The people who run Aligarh Muslim University have non-Muslim members also. So it cannot claim the status of Muslim minority. And since it was established by an act of parliament, so it cannot say that it is a minority institution. Therefore, the status of minority institution was taken. Okay. Now this created a huge uproar in 1967. Therefore, Government of India amended the Aligarh Muslim University Act in 1981, and it specifically mentioned that this university is established by the Muslim community and therefore it has the minority status. Okay. Now years passed by. From 1981 onwards, Aligarh Muslim University had minority status. But in 2005, using its minority status, Aligarh Muslim University decided to give 50% reservation to Muslims in their university. Now, this was challenged in Allahabad High Court. And Allahabad High Court used the 1967 Supreme Court judgment saying that you're not a minority institution, and by giving 50% reservation for Muslims, you are actually violating the constitutional provision of providing SC/ST reservation. Okay, because if 50% reservation is given to Muslims, then there is no scope for SC/ST reservation. Since 1967 said, Supreme Court's order said that you're not a minority institution, so you cannot refrain from giving SC/ST reservations. Therefore, this 50% reservation for Muslim youth this order is struck down by Allahabad High Court. Immediately, this Allahabad High Court's decision was challenged in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court had to form a constitution bench, okay, in 2019 to decide on this. And Supreme Court has decided that Aligarh Muslim University can claim minority status. So this is the background. Okay, the 1967 case of Supreme Court was called Aziz Basha versus Union of India. All right, that's about it. Make sure you remember the constitutional provisions. Article 30 clause 1, Article 15 clause 5. Okay, these are important because MCQs might be created from them. All right. And last but not the least, project to monitor animal health. Now, what is this project all about? So Union Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, okay, launched a project to better monitor animal health for prevention of future pandemics. Okay, the name of the project is Animal Health Security Strengthening in India for Pandemic Preparedness and Response. So this is the name of the initiative, and this was launched to monitor animal health. And it also says monitoring animal health would prevent future pandemics. Now, what is this situation? So let's talk about this project. Okay. Now, the project aims to enhance the country's capacity to prevent, detect, and respond to animal health threats. Whether there is a bacterial strain in animal or a epidemic or a viral epidemic in animals, you have to monitor it. Now, this project was approved by Pandemic Fund, and this Pandemic Fund was created under Indonesia's presidency of G20 in 2022. Okay. Now, this project, this Government of India's project, will work with the help of Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and Food and Agricultural Organization, and this project has to be completed by 2026. Now, this project says that you need to monitor animal health so as to prevent future pandemics like COVID-19. Don't you think they should have said that you need to monitor human health to prevent future pandemics like COVID-19? Right? No. Animals can also cause pandemics. Okay? In fact, animals can also cause human pandemics. There is a category of diseases called zoonotic diseases. Okay? Zoonotic diseases are those diseases which jump from animals to humans. In fact, initially it was said that COVID-19 also jumped from bats to humans. Okay? Therefore, monitoring animal health is important for human health as well, because bacterial strains, viral strains jump from animals to humans. Zoonotic diseases happen. Okay, that is why this was created. Now, this picture that you are seeing over here, it is actually a picture of One Health. Now, what do we mean by this One Health concept? Okay, it is a concept and it is becoming internationally very popular. You need to be aware of this concept. Okay, so what is this concept all about? It says that environmental health, human health, and animal health are interrelated. If one of these three components become bad or worse, it impacts other two components. So, for example, if animal health is not going well, it would lead to spilling over of bacterial or viral strains to humans, and human health would get impacted. Okay, zoonotic diseases. It also says that if environmental health is problematic, pollution is there or whatnot. So, if environmental health is not good, then it would impact human health. Many people die because of pollution, become ill because of pollution. It will impact animal health because environment is a major deciding factor for animal health. Okay, so environmental health influences human health, animal health, and if environmental health becomes bad, it would impact animal health, it would impact human health. So, if you are focusing on human health, you cannot ignore environmental health and animal health. This is the One Health approach that all countries should follow. Okay, so that is why this project was created, so as to monitor animal health, because human health is dependent on animal health as well as environmental health. Okay, that is why this project was needed. WHO declared 6 public health emergency of international concern in the past few decades. Out of them, 5 were zoonotic. So out of the 6 public health emergencies declared, 5 were zoonotic. That means animal health impacts human health. About two-thirds of infectious diseases affecting humans originate from animals. Therefore, we need to focus on animal health security to promote human health. Now, India is specifically interested in this project because India has around 536 million livestock and other animals. So, India has a lot of animal population. So, India is currently at the risk of zoonotic diseases. That is why we need to monitor animal health as well. All right, that's about it. We come to an end of this lecture. With that, we conclude this lecture. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you spend the next 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture from our PDF file, which is available on our Telegram channel. And the link to our Telegram channel is available in the comment section below this lecture. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you revise this lecture to consolidate these current affairs permanently in your memory. All right. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.